African American History and Culture Public Meeting. Thank you so much for coming. If you could just do me a quick little favor, just a little housekeeping number, can you either mute your phones or silence the volume so that they don't go off during our meeting? We thank you tremendously for that. Again, welcome to the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture meeting scheduled for today, Monday, June the 2nd, 2025, here at the Josiah Henson Museum and Park at 11410 Old Georgetown Road, North Bethesda, Maryland, 20852. And we're going to begin with our call to order. Chair, Maya Davis. Vice Chair, Khalid Aset Ahmed.
Present.
Commissioner, Rochelle Adams. Commissioner, Lori Bradford. Commissioner, H. Russell Frisbee.
Present.
Commissioner Adams.
Oh. Well, thank you, Commissioner Rochelle Adams and Commissioner Bridget Jones-Smith for joining us at our meeting virtually. Thank you. Thank you so much. Commissioner Walter Gill.
Present.
Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Janice Curtis Green. Commissioner David Mooney.
Present.
Commissioner Brian Morrison.
Present.
Commissioner Barbara Pena.
Present.
Commissioner Robert Patterson.
Present.
Commissioner Ada Pinkston.
Present.
Commissioner Alethea Rosalind Smith Withers.
That's a lot of names.
Thank you. Commissioner Hakeem Tajani. Commissioner Reggie Turner.
Present.
Commissioner Eleanor Thompson.
Present.
Commissioner Kennedy Wilson.
Present.
And Commissioner Wesley Williams. Excuse me. Thank you, sir. So Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, our notice for today's public meeting was posted on our Commission website, at the Banneker-Douglass Museum as well, in our local and national syndicates. And I now turn this meeting over to the powerful capable hands of our Chair, Maya Davis.
Thank you so much, Mr. Herbert. I want to take this time to first thank the Josiah Henson Park and Museum for allowing us to have our meeting here today. We really depend on sites like this to host us when we have our meetings across the state. We really try to do our due diligence in making sure that we reach the 6 regions in our state so that we're being fair. And being as though we've already had it in Prince George's County, we want to make sure we're not having a current Montgomery County resident that we actually came to Montgomery County. And so I just want to welcome you on behalf of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture. And I will share with you that this is my last public meeting. I have completed my 8-year term with the Commission, and I'm truly excited about the next generation. And my co-host for this meeting is someone who also represents Prince George's County, Commissioner Robert Patterson. So I want to give him a moment to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Again, I'm just echoing what the Commissioner Chair Davis has said. We're excited for you to be with us at the last meeting of the year. We are sad but excited to send our commissioners who are leaving us, and we're looking forward to the work they will continue. We hope that you're able to join us at future meetings, not only in this county but around the state as well. Welcome again.
Thank you so much. And at this time, we will take care of a little bit of commission business, and I need to get a motion for approval of the commission minutes from our last meeting. It's been properly moved by Vice Chair Collins, said amen, and then properly seconded by Commissioner Robert Patterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Thank you. So at this time, I would like to call for Mrs. Shirl Spicer and Mark Thorne, if he's here. I know Mark is probably floating around, but just to give a few brief remarks to tell us about where we are and, what welcome us to this space. So obviously this might come. Thank you.
Agricultural Resources Planning Supervisor for the museum section here with Montgomery Parks. And on behalf of Montgomery Parks, I want to welcome you to the Josiah Henson Museum and Park, but I also want to give a shout out to the awesome staff of the Josiah Henson Museum and Park that greeted you when you came in. There's Mark that's here, Diana, Alice, Jess, Ellie may be over there also, but you're going to encounter some other folks inside of the museum. So we are really thrilled to have you here. Just really briefly, I will talk for 2 minutes. How many minutes? 2? Okay. She didn't give me a time limit. I could be here for a while. So I'm going to go with the 2-minute plan. But I just want to introduce, for those that may not be aware, that Montgomery Parks has a number of historic sites, especially African American sites, within the county that are under the operation of Montgomery Parks. We are part of the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. And Josiah Henson Museum and Park is the newest of our sites. We have 4 other premier sites within, and this is Mr. Mark Thorne, who is our site manager for the Josiah Henson Museum and Park. Yay! And what I was saying is we have 4 other sites that are open to the public. We have our Woodlawn Museum and the Underground Railroad Experience Trail. If you've had an opportunity to visit out there, that's in Sandy Spring. We have one of our oldest African American sites, the Oakley Cabin African American Museum and Park, which is in Olney. And we have the Kingsley Schoolhouse, which is a gem within the county. It's one of the few one-room schoolhouses that is intact, that is open to the public as a museum that focuses on early education from the late 19th century to the early part of the 20th century. And then, of course, we have the largest of our historic parks, which is the Agricultural History Farm Park in Durwood, over 450 acres. And there we host our large-scale events such as Harvest Festival coming up. So the things that I will share with you is that with all of these parks, we now have an opportunity, especially with the formal opening of the Josiah Henson Museum and Park, to focus on the African American experience within the county, just within the Montgomery Park system. We have the Oakley Cabin African American Museum. Well, let me go in order of history here. Let me not go backwards. But if I begin with a period of enslavement, that's going to be our focus here at the Josiah Henson Museum, which we tell through the lens of the Reverend Josiah Henson, the experience of growing up enslaved, what enslavement means here in Montgomery County as well as Maryland. We move through time to the Woodlawn Museum and our Underground Railroad experience, which is where we focus on that resistance to slavery through self-emancipation. The museum there also focuses on the Quaker experience and free Black communities. From there, you would move in time to Oakley Cabin African American Museum, where the story, although the site is one that was constructed during a period of enslavement, the story we tell is focused on the free Black tenant farm families who resided at Oakley Cabin within one of the 3 cabins that were there. It's the only one left of the 3. But that is the story that we tell there, is this period of Reconstruction and those gains and losses following the end of slavery. We also have 2 other sites that are a little unknown. We have the Newman site, which is a part of the Agricultural History Farm Park. The Newman community was a free Black community that settled in Durwood within what is now the Ag History Farm Park, but they came up from Virginia, and that was a free Black kinship community on the Newman family. There are no buildings remaining at the site, but we do tell their story in its interpretation. And then lastly, we have the Thomas Harper Cabin, which was relocated from Poolesville. It's erected around the 1870s by Thomas Harper. And that site is now, it's not a site, it's a building, which is at Brookside Nature Center. It's been there since 1976 as a part of the bicentennial celebrations. It was brought over to Brookside Nature Center. And so we've been focused on telling that story of freedom through the lens of the Harper family. And we have been blessed to have Harper family descendants participate in that interpretation and with our programming. So we invite you to come always to Montgomery Parks to check us out. The Henson site is open all the time. As you notice, you're sitting in air conditioning, which is quite comfortable. And in the wintertime, there will be heat. Not all of the sites share these things. So they are open seasonally. So April through October, Kingsley's open. The Woodlawn Museum is open, as is Oakley Cabin, African American Museum and Park. But there's always lots of activities going on throughout the year. So I invite you always to come and visit. I'm gonna turn the mic over to my esteemed site manager.
Thank you all for coming out to Josiah Henson Museum and Park today. Just a shameless plug, on June the 14th, we'll be celebrating Josiah Henson. Saturday, June 14th, we'll be celebrating Josiah Henson's birthday, which closely coincides with Juneteenth. So we'll also be open on Juneteenth. If you come out on the 14th, the museum will be free. We've had special programming. The museum is open today. We've got a museum educator inside of the house. And while you're here today, take a look at the grounds. We have one of our archaeological sites that is being closed up this week. So this will be the last time anybody sees it for many, many years. But once again, thank you guys for coming out. And this is a beautiful space for you, your organization, or you need some place to have meetings, etc. Always think about us. We love partnering with other organizations for meetings or programs. So once again, thank you for coming out today.
Shirl, those are my colleagues. We actually work together. They're on the Montgomery County side, and I work on the Prince George's County side. So it's great to have people that you have a relationship with. So at this time, we will move into our commission reports. For the chair's report, for the governance committee, we actually received from the appointments office the names of 5 new commissioners who will be joining us, and I will tell you their names. We have, sorry, I'm doing this from my phone. Gina Marie Lewis, who will represent Prince George's County. We have Chrissy Michelle Thornton from Baltimore County. Dina Gomez Daly from Talbot County. Mark Gregory Glaze from Montgomery County. And Dr. G.O.T. Mohan from Baltimore County. So those are the 5 new commissioners, and with that, I think 5 or 6 of us are actually rolling off, and so that will leave 2 vacant seats to have open for the appointments office to fill. So if you're interested, please reach out to the appointments office. The other point that I want to address is I believe we are supposed to be proposing a vote for an ad hoc committee, which will be an advisory and intergovernmental committee to create and execute advocacy plans for FY 2026 legislative session regarding the budget and growth of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture. Do I have someone here who can propose the vote?
I motion to vote. How specifically do
I think you do not say what the vote is for.
Thank you. I propose to this body a vote on the establishment of the ad hoc advisory and interorganizational committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been properly seconded by Commissioner Frisbee. Do I have a vote for all in favor? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Seeing none, the vote carries, and we will establish a new ad hoc committee. Thank you. And that, I believe, ends my chair's report. At this time, we will call for our lovely director, Mrs. Chanel Compton Johnson, to do her director's report.
I'm gonna get up, if that's okay. How y'all doing? Y'all doing it? Thank you. All righty, so I will welcome everyone. Isn't this a beautiful museum? Oh my goodness. Has everyone seen the exhibition? You have. It's incredible.
And the book.
Yes, Commissioner Baker has the book. Make sure you go see it after today's meeting. Well, my name is Shirl Johnson, and I serve as the proud executive director for the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, and I get to share with all of you my June report, and it will encompass the last 2 months, so April and May activities for activities of the Commission, namely the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum, your state museum on African American history and culture. And we are located in Annapolis, free 99, Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 4, so come on down. Before I get started, I do want to, because I have the pleasure of reporting out all the great things that we're doing for our state, right? But it could not be made possible without the tremendous staff of the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum and the Commission. Y'all better clap it up. We have with us Ms. Jan Lee, Marketing Director in Communications, Marketing Coordinator Taja Cropper. We had none other than Martina Dodd, Exhibitions Curator and Collection Specialist. And with us, I guess our new intern, Olivia. Summer intern. Good to see you. So on to the report. Oh, and I have to give a special shout out. I'm babysitting this week. My little cousin, Eva, is in the house. Her birthday cousin. Oh, and Abiola. Where's Abiola? Abiola, listen. I'm going to be talking a lot about the youth, the babies that we work with at the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum, and it would not be made possible without the tremendous work of our education coordinator, Abiola Akintola. Thank you. All right, so before I get started with the nitty-gritty, I think it's time to, I try to do this at all of our public meetings to really anchor us in our FY 2025 priorities. So we have 7 goals. 7 is a sacred number, am I right? It's a good number. Goal 1, strengthen the Commission's communications and engagement. Goal 2, strengthen the Commission's committee support and engagement, so strengthen our committees. Goal 3, complete the strategic planning process. Goal 4, increase audience engagement, namely by way through the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum. Goal 5, establish FY 2025 legislative priorities, one of which is to pass the House Bill 1010, which is the African American Heritage Non-Capital Grant Program. Goal 6, improve the African American Heritage Program grant administrative capacity and engagement. And Goal 7, complete the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum strategic facility repairs and upgrades. And I skipped a goal. Goal 3 is to complete our strategic planning process. Maybe I didn't skip it, but it's really important. All right. Okay. So, the Banneker-Douglass Museum visitation and programs. We had 40,000 visitors at the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum between April and May. We had 3 activities. You'll notice in the report some of the numbers aren't quite updated because the report was given before the close of the month, so those numbers went up. Thank you, Taja. Our visitation. So this includes 3 major programs that happen at the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum, which is between April 12th to April 16th, we took 10, was it 10? It was 10, right? 10, more than 10, Lord have mercy. 15, sorry. 15, I didn't go on the trip, y'all, I'm sorry. Our after-school program, we took 10 youth and 5 teachers from our after-school program at Robinwood Community Center, as well as 5 teachers from Annapolis High School to South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, to learn about the Gullah Geechee trip. So as a culmination to the young middle schoolers that we work with, because middle schoolers, that's a tricky age, am I right? Elementary school, they're all cute. High school, they think they know everything, but middle school, that's such a sweet spot. So we work with these young people at Robinwood Community Center in partnership with the Housing Authority of Annapolis where they learn African American history, art and culture all year long. They produce amazing art and creative projects that will be exhibited this summer at the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum. And every year we take them out of state. Last year we went to Brooklyn, New York. This year we went to South Carolina. Next year we'll go to somewhere great. All right. Wednesday, April 30th, in honor of Jazz Appreciation Month, we had Night of Sacred Sounds at the museum, which was jazz and spoken word. That was incredible. Monday, May 12th, the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum, remember Goal 3, we hosted our staff strategic planning retreat with Giselle James of Scrap Strategies. That strategic plan will be presented at our August meeting. The strategic plan will encompass the work of the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum and its services throughout the great state of Maryland. Saturday, May 17th, we also honored Charity Folk. Charity Folk was an enslaved African-American woman who was manumitted in Annapolis, and she became a property owner, and her family would sell the land that would be one day the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum. So we had an incredible virtual lecture discussion with the author of Honoring Charity Folks, Preserving Sacred Spaces and Stories. Isn't that a cute picture though? Those are babies in South Carolina. You see how cute? All right, exhibitions and collections. So we have a new exhibit at BWI, Reflections of Maryland, Art, People, and Place. That will be up for the bulk of the summer. Please go down and check it out at the Yumi Hogan Art Exhibit Space. I'll talk a little bit more about the opening for that exhibit opening. Fundraising. We have a fundraising campaign. Are you going to talk about that? Because I don't want to see your thunder, child. All right. We are acquiring, if you hold it up, Martina, we are acquiring the Gloria drawing after a detail of a photograph of Gloria Richardson with George Delson during the Cambridge Nonviolent Action Committee March on July 12, 1963. This piece was created by Eastern Shore artist Jason Patterson. So that will be in our collection. We are trying to raise $8,000 for the work. Why is this so important? Because we are trying, our aim is to be a resource to African American artists in our state and their work in preserving Black history, right? And we want to be an incubator for that work. We aim to be a stronger incubator for that work. Martina also co-authored an essay with Commissioner Russell Frisbee on an object from our collection entitled Memory We Hold in Our Hands, Black History Artifacts in Baltimore and Beyond. We have a new summer intern, Olivia, wonderful. And speaking of professional development, Martina and her team attended the James A. Porter Colloquium in Washington, D.C., as well as the American Alliance Museums Conference in Los Angeles, California. The African American Heritage Preservation Grant, some quick highlights. We had a series of workshops in April for the grant program. That is a $5 million grant program given to, a capital grant program given to African American heritage sites throughout the state of Maryland, such as museums, historic homes, African American cemeteries, and more. The due date on that is June 30th. We do have a workshop coming up at the museum on June 6th, and that will be in person. So that's a capital grant program. And you know, during legislative session, we were really pushing for a non-capital grant program. And it passed. Great. Now, the job and the work begins because we have to raise funds for that non-capital grant program. So we will be pushing for that this legislative session, this coming legislative session, as well as soliciting donations from private donors. So we have a capital fund, and now we have a non-capital fund. New hires. We are hiring a new CFO who will be starting this early July, as well as a grant specialist to increase our capacity in grant writing and fundraising. We are in process of interviewing the last round of applicants for the Vernon Freeman Welcome Project, so the archivist application is closed. We have 2 summer interns starting, one of which is here with us today. And so if you want to learn more about having a career with the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum and our commission, you can check us out on LinkedIn or our website. So here's to the fun stuff, community resources and upcoming events. We have, through a grant with BGME, we have field trip stipends to underserved schools who are struggling with transportation costs. We're providing grants for schools to come to the museum for docent tours and youth and community activities. Next, we are expanding our Banneker-Douglass-Tubman after-school program. So if you want to get in contact with Abiola, if you have a site or a location or young people in Annapolis that would like to enroll in our after-school program, let us know. Upcoming events, Harmony and Heritage Block Parties celebrating community, culture, and Black joy. This Saturday, June 28th, from 9 to 5 at the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum. This will be our annual block party. In addition, we have an exhibit opening, Reflections of Maryland, Art, People, and Place, and Time, and Memories, which will be at the BWI Airport on Monday, June 23rd at 4:30. Make sure, because not only does this commission operate grants, not only does this commission operate the State's Museum of Black History, but we also publish incredible scholarly material on African American history, art, and culture. Our latest being Revisit, Reimagine, the Civil Rights Era in Maryland and Parallels of Today, which encompasses our previous exhibit on the Civil Rights Movement in Maryland and essays from thought leaders throughout the state. Be sure to check out our current exhibition, Sacred Spaces by Jabari Jefferson. This is his first museum solo exhibition. We've been in Ebony Magazine, Essence Magazine, Hyperallergic, which is a really great art magazine, and so much more. And so this exhibition has been gaining so much press. We have a great publication coming up featuring his work, and this has really been a transformative experience at the museum and for him, and you gotta see it. It's over December 30th, but it's an incredible artistic exhibition that's also in conversation with our museum collection, so it's incredible. Thank you. Make sure you follow us on social media, LinkedIn, YouTube. Thank you for coming today, and please make sure to check out the Josiah Henson Museum exhibition as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chanel. At this time, we will continue our committee reports. I believe Commissioner Reggie Turner shared that he did have a report for this particular meeting. Is that correct, Commissioner Turner?
That is correct. At your next public meeting, since this is my last,
Yes.
the new CFO will be in place, so reports will continue on the schedule.
Okay, thank you so much. And we will move forward with the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum Committee report, which the chair is Ada Pinkston, and there are 2 subcommittees in that committee, including the Ancestral Remains Committee report, which will be provided by Commissioner Eleanor Thompson, and the Book Drive Committee report with Commissioners Jalen Mahoney and Kennedy Wilson. At this time, I will turn it over to Commissioner Ada Pinkston.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. So the updates are as follows. Basically, last week we had the Memorial Day, the annual Memorial Day celebration. It was well attended. Congressman Quincy Nkrumah came to support the work, and this is a program that we're going to continue annually at Loudon Park National Cemetery. There was an email that was sent regarding the Harriet Tubman Achievement Awards. It was sent, just check your email. It was sent a couple of weeks ago, but the nominations are due on July 15th. And if you check your email, it was sent on May 19th, 2025. I'm just going over, this is a very long report, so I'm just going over the highlights here. Another piece that needs to be discussed is the symposium. We're going to do the Harriet Tubman Achievement Award in collaboration with the museum, again this year as it was done last year. And we're going to figure out ways to combine the symposium with the Harriet Tubman Award reception. And that date will be decided in collaboration with the museum in the fall of this year. And I'm going to pass it over to Commissioner Thompson on the updates on the Ancestral Remains Committee.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. The mission of this committee is to collaborate with the Maryland Historical Trust and the Maryland Archaeological Conservation Laboratory and the descendant communities to establish a sacred burial for the ancestral remains of African Americans that were found in 5 different regions in Maryland. That was Anne Arundel County, Calvert County, Charles County, Queen Anne's County, and Wacomico County. We met with the descendant communities in each region to establish trust and transparency and corroboration with how the remains are being honored. These are human remains, so we need to collect DNA from them to try to make a potential connection with the communities. We also plan on moving forward with this next generation. Other notes that we have to go through with the Ancestral Remains Committee after our commission, this committee, Dr. Barbara Becker, Commissioner Janice Green, and myself will be coming off fulfilling an 8-year term with this commission. And we are proud to come off this commission showing a lot of interest to the next generation. We'll still be around trying to support them as we can. And what we are going to have is a sacred burial on June 24th, not a burial, but a remembrance ceremony at one of the churches. That was Mt Calvary United Methodist Church in Arnold, Maryland. And we're just going to have a kickoff for a remembrance ceremony until the next generation of commissioners can take over and do the DNA testing, the research, and all those things. So I'm looking forward to coming to some of the events the next commissioners will be having, but I want to invite the public out to this event because these remains are unknown of African Americans who have paved the way for this generation, so we need to pass it on. Thank you.
Thank you, and if, I don't want to interrupt the report, but I do want Chanel to give an update on the IMLS grant associated with the Ancestral Remains.
So the Institute of Museum and Library Sciences, we were awarded $100,000 for the Ancestral Remains project last year, but we received a letter saying that this award was terminated this year. So obviously we were very disappointed, as well as over 1,000 other agencies, their awards were unlawfully terminated. With that being said, we wrote an affidavit with the Attorney General's office saying that this is unlawful, that this is the impact. The judge ruled in our favor, and we were re-awarded the grant. But IMLS is also, in the letter they said, well, we're still going to appeal. But we're going to press forward. So we're going to continue with the project, but we're ready to fight for what's right. I do want to thank the committee, the commission, for all of their support and leadership in getting all of this done. In process, piggybacking off of Commissioner Thompson's report, there are individuals that human remains from Deep Creek who were found. That is 4 individuals, likely all family members, and their human remains are currently being scanned for possible future reconstruction of their features, which is really exciting. So it's literally bringing their stories even further to life. So that is currently in process now. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Beecher Stowe. Okay, so yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm gonna pass it off to Commissioner Money or Commissioner Kennedy to give us an update on the book drive.
Good morning. Nearly spanning the entire arc of this body, the Commission has been publishing the Maryland Pendulum as its newsletter for over 50 years. Through the leadership of Commissioners Gill, Aman, Morrison, Wilson, and Patterson, it's been revived and is now digitally available to the public at africanamerican.maryland.gov by clicking on Publications underneath the Quick Links column. To demonstrate the power of literacy, Commissioners Wilson and I, we will directly recite our call to action from the spring 2025 issue. And it reads, our work is grounded not in recent political trends, but in the unfulfilled potential of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, the cornerstone civil rights amendments that redefined American democracy in the aftermath of the Civil War. Through these constitutional provisions, African Americans were guaranteed equal protection under the law, the right to vote, and a new vision of political and civic participation. The Commission serves as a steward of that legacy, chronicling it, protecting it, and ensuring that future generations understand the cost and value of freedom. The number 19 is not a random number in our culture, and that's certainly the case celebrating Jubilee and freedom the week of the 19th during this month, not just in this county, but all over the state. So we wanted to double down on that with respect to the drive in this report. Drive 2 will close in 19 days. That affords us 19 opportunities to increase understanding, empathy, and inclusion. 19 ways to ensure everyone is able to see themselves in the pages of a book. 19 bouts and the right to and the freedom to read, censorship. 19 pathways towards expanded horizons and experiences paid forward since 1865. 19 lights shone through the creative lenses of authors from across the diaspora. 19 rejections of what happened was that ultimately guide you to authors similarly to Katie Mitchell, who just published her debut chronicle, Prose to the People, a celebration of Black bookstores in the Baltimore Beat. 19 invitations to begin preparing for Mahogany Books, Black Books Matter Fest this August 2nd in National Harbor, and the Banned Books Week that occurs October 5th through the 11th. 19 reminders to pick up your free copy of Kin, Rooted in Hope from your local library and organize your own Maryland program. 19 local alternatives to the 821 censorship attempts across the country, 10 of which occurred in Maryland, that challenged 5,813 titles nationally, 27 in Maryland's last year alone. 19 attempts that we refuse to stand idly by while core humanities institutions are dismantled. 19 promises that appalling literacy tests suppressed our ancestors' voices, blocked access, but not our vision. 19 moments to be present, to heal, to center self-care. 19 literary canons to disrupt. 19 reasons to repeat Dr. Carla Hayden's name. And 19 reminders to donate to the statewide book drive by June 21st. Dorchester County was the first county in Maryland to facilitate and conclude its own unveiling of local titles donated through the second drive. On April 26th, that county surpassed 250 donations and empowered 5 local nonprofits in the process. Those organizations are the Pine Street Empowerment Center, Harvest and Hope Youth and Family Wellness Incorporated, New Beginnings Community Center, the Boys and Girls Club of Cambridge, and the Dorchester YMCA Reading Hub. As Book Drive 2 wraps up, Commissioner Wilson and I are going to be confirming a statewide tally, and in the process, we'll be able to gather data from this year's drive and report that at the August public meeting. However, a question that we had to the other commissioners, as well as members of the public, is that we're nearing the end of Drive 2, and we're asking for reflections on progress so far in the second year, as well as ideas on how to drive lasting and sustainable impact in and with communities around the state. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your report, Commissioner Marley. Does that end your reports for the?
Yeah, I just want to re-emphasize that website one last time. Is it possible to pull that up on the screen? africanamerican.maryland.gov/book drive, just so everybody can see it, and you can access it on your own, find out all the amazing work that is being done with that subcommittee. And then also, commissioners, please check your emails for the list of action items that you can help the museum do in terms of programming, ongoing programming that the museum is doing. And that's it.
Thank you so much for that report, Commissioner Henson. At this time, we will turn it over to the Public Relations and Historical Committee led by Commissioner Ryan Morrison.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Y'all gotta do better than that. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, that's the school teacher in me. Sort of symbiotic, I need some energy. The Public Relations and Historical Committee, we generally operate in three areas. One is our newsletter, Pendulum, which we reinvigorated, as Commissioner Money has pointed out. The second one is in public statements and supporting research efforts. And the third is in our social media areas. And those are our three big buckets. But we have a number of items that are related to that as well that sort of touch in. And so the report will follow in that light. So far this year, we've put out 2 issues of the Pendulum that comes out quarterly. Our third issue, which will be coming out for the summer, will be coming out on July 21st. We have a submission deadline, commissioners, for July the 3rd. So please get your submissions in by July the 3rd. And it's really, the Pendulum is really the voice of the commission. It gives the public a way to connect with us. We have a section on letters to the commission where you can send your responses to the information that's there. There are many articles that deal with historicals, events, culture of African Americans in Maryland that occurred throughout the history of the state. It's really an opportunity to also highlight what goes on in our different committees, what the commissioners are doing in their areas, and it's the voice of the commission. And one of the main things that we do is to support the efforts of the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum as well. So we highlight the events that are happening at the museum. So if you want to stay connected with the commission, make sure that you are on our mailing list to receive the digital copies, and we also have physical copies. We're in the process of developing grant funding for physical copies that you can share in your libraries with your family members and your friends. So we really encourage you to take a look at the Pendulum. It's really more than just a newsletter. It's more of a news-zine, so to speak, because it's like a magazine, really. We run anywhere from 22 to 28 pages. So it's a lengthy document, but it's filled with a lot of good information. One of the sections that we have that we really encourage the public to engage with us in is the events section. So we want to post and share events that are happening in the community so that your events, so that we can support the work that's going on throughout the state related to African American history and culture. So we have that kind of a connection as well. So we really encourage folks to stay connected with us through the Pendulum and to give us feedback so that we can continue to improve it and to make it better. We're always open to ideas. And we're also open to volunteers to work on the committee with us. So if you have some skills, and particularly in with graphic design, or if you have an article or an idea for an article, something that you want to submit, something going on in your community, please feel free to reach out to us and to do that. You can, again, same website, our commission website, you can find the newsletter link there, and the links within it to give us feedback and to connect with us. So again, look forward to the summer issue coming out and on July 21st, and that issue's theme is on Juneteenth and Independence. For item 2, our public statements. As already identified, spoken about earlier, the ILMS grant that was canceled by the current administration. We have a public statement on that. In fact, we have 2 public statements. One is a call, the first one, actually both of them are calls to action to not just sit by and take these kinds of things that are occurring, but to get up and do something. So you'll find our calls to actions, again, in the Pendulum. We have one that was related to a response to the election of the current administration. And the most recent one that you'll find in our spring issue is on the removal of the funds or the destruction of the ILMS and the grants that they propose. So again, our committee is responsible for doing that. Vice Chair Amen has written those statements, and I strongly encourage everyone to read those calls to action. They're more than just statements. They're a call to action, a call for us to join organizations, to take part, to be a voice, to stand up for our history and our culture. Another item that has been on our agenda that we've been working with in conjunction with the Maryland Department of Transportation are the historical markers that you see on the highways and byways that highlight different historical events that have occurred throughout the state's history. Our commission has been tasked with the role of updating those markers for accuracy and for language and sensitivity. We have been given, there are about 54 markers that need updating. Where we can update roughly 4 per year and add up to 1 per year. So this year we have submitted the 4 that we are going to be working on. There are 3 of them that we are updating, and we're adding one additional, one new one. 1 second here, hold on. So the Benjamin Banneker marker at the Benjamin Banneker Historical Park and Museum in Oella is going to be updated. The Catoctin Furnace in Frederick is going to be updated for language, and what was the third one? Right. The Nathan Hopkins, Nace Hopkins Parade one. Is in Frederick County and Talbot County is being updated. And we have a new marker going up for Isaac Mason of Kent County. And that's a new marker that has been worked on very diligently with Commissioner Money and some of the students. And some of the other folks have assisted in creating that marker. So our next step is to complete the applications and submit them, and the process will take roughly 8 months to complete. So in 8 months, you should be hearing about unveilings of those new markers and ceremonies and celebration. We also received a request to support the Friends of St. Peter's Cemetery in Baltimore City for its historical designation. The committee received a request. We did our due diligence, and we have agreed to submit a letter of support for that cemetery's historic designation. And yeah, that's it for the public statements and research portion. The last piece is, and this is where we could use some good energy from some new young interns to support us in our social media efforts to push our social media. That's the third area that we're looking at. We do have a LinkedIn page, a Facebook page, but we don't have an Instagram presence and other presences that will certainly be needing the assistance of our new intern to assist with that work. No pressure. But we do, again, we do have those two means, LinkedIn and Facebook. So please join us on LinkedIn and follow us on Facebook. And I believe that is approved the subcommittee, budget, social progress, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Morrison. I think you have a question from the floor.
I want to add a comment about the wonderful historical markers project that our Chair Morrison is leading and described in some detail. We will be tackling the 4 markers, as he mentioned, because that's essentially what our fabrication budget is, to make new ones. But in examining the list of 54 markers, we observed some really interesting patterns in terms of the language that's being used, the framing of our history, the decentering or dehumanizing language that has been used in many cases to refer to enslaved peoples. Language that would sanitize the actual violences of slavery and Jim Crow. So this is really important work to engage in a retelling of our stories, a rethinking of how we refer to ourselves, the people who did all of the difficult work to get us to where we are today. So there's some discussion on this committee, and we haven't formalized our plans yet, but we've explored the idea of establishing a kind of working group that will transcend the commission itself to really think through with scholars and community members how we might reframe that language. So while we are tackling those 4 markers today, we're really thinking about something much broader, about how those markers writ large tell these stories and the language they use to refer to ordinary people.
Thank you so much. At this time, we will move forward with our African American Heritage Preservation Grant Report by Commissioner H. Rusty Frisbee.
Oh, sorry. One question. Commissioner Morrison, have you been in contact with Mace Hopkins' family?
No, we haven't been in direct contact with them yet. We just finished the process of selecting the markers that we're going to work on, and the next step is to go ahead and do the applications. We haven't yet received the old applications from MDOT yet. Once we get them, then we'll move forward. But if you have suggestions about how to move forward, it's certainly open to it.
I asked the branch to connect with them.
Thank you. I'm new on the commission, but as soon as the information went out that I was on the commission, I've been getting calls. Mostly from denominations, because that's where so much of our history is held. And so my encouragement is to reach out, not to individual churches, but to denominations that hold so much history. And many of our sororities and fraternities hold history, and it's not being shared. So perhaps reaching out to these particular groups will be helpful in getting the information out. Or talk to me, because they've been calling me.
And you can again direct them to.
Oh, yes, I do.
To our site and to the Pendulum.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And just before I turn over to Commissioner Frisbee, I have to admit to the public that doing a hybrid meeting is very key to us. I want to check with Tasha to make sure none of our commissioners that are calling in online have any questions or comments.
No, there are no comments in the chat, and I've been diligently checking.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Now I'll turn it over to Commissioner Frisbee.
I think we've all heard the saying, God helps those who help themselves. We talk about a program where Marylanders Maryland is helping Marylanders to preserve Maryland. And that's the African American History Preservation Program. Pursuant to, for those who aren't familiar, pursuant to the program, every year the commission issues grants for projects which pertain to communities or sites of historic importance to the history of African Americans in Maryland. We give up to $250,000 for a total of $5 million every year. Thanks to the legislature 2 years ago, that was raised from $1 million to $5 million. And to the extent that anyone has not heard about it, please get in contact with us, because the application period is still open, and our staff would be happy to work with you. Now, as I mentioned, the grant application period on March 30th, and it's going to close on June 30th. That's for the FY 26 grants. In the FY 25 grants, we awarded 30 grants for a total of $5 million throughout the state. For the first time that year, we now have awarded money to every county and city in the state of Maryland, which is, I think, a real plus. Those awardees are moving forward. All the agreements have been signed, and the staff has visited each site. As I mentioned, this is a Maryland grant. This is $5 million from the Maryland legislature. That is a permanent grant program that survived the budget cuts. So again, this is Maryland helping Marylanders, and I think that's really going to be important. We have had several webinars with regard to the grant program, and earlier this year we opened applications for reviewers. And if you haven't, if you're very interested, please review, because that's always a problem. I think last year we got about 75. The year before last, we got 75 grants applications, and this year we got, last year, 2 years ago, we got 100. This year we got 75. We expect to be back to over 100 next year, so we really do need help. And I also want to thank the staff for all the efforts. We couldn't make it without the staff, and I just want to thank the staff for that. Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Frisbee. And at this time, are there any questions or comments from anybody on the commission?
Thank you. I'd like to add to that report just to really stress the importance of the passage of HB 1010 that was referenced earlier, the non-capital grant program. It really is a companion to our grant program that will serve a very important purpose. Once we get a good allocation to fill that container, we can really get the work done there. But we have applications from organizations and institutions that are looking for site improvements. But as you can imagine, people also need, in some instances, programming to bring those sites to life. Organizations need of capacity building for staff to follow through fully on the execution of the site improvement. So we realize that it's wonderful to be able to fund site renovations, but we also have to invest in the people and the communities themselves that would actually be responsible for keeping those sites alive. So that's why we thought it was so important to formulate this bill for HB 1010. We're very glad that we've gotten it. And to add further context, one of the reasons we're also very excited about the creation of the new advocacy and interorganizational committee is that it will also be in their remit to do the kind of advocacy work to shore up these grant programs and protect them. Commissioner Frisbee said something very important very quickly. We survived the budget cuts. We survived. But we know, tomorrow is not promised, so we have to stay vigilant and continue to do concerted advocacy work in that regard.
Thank you so much. Our Vice Chair is so amazing. I absolutely adore her. And at this time, that ends our committee reports. And we are going to now switch over to new business. And in new business, I requested to make chair's remarks, which I will do at this time. I'm going to stand. Just because it's been a long 8 years, not a short 8 years, but it's been such a pleasure to serve with the commission. I've only been chair for 1 term, but I was super grateful that I had that moment. I really wanted to start by saying that I invited 3 of my mentors here today. One of them is Dr. Shirl LaRoche. One of them is Elaine Rice-Bachman, and the other is Chris Haley, which I'm so happy Chris made it here in time ahead of me. And Shirl, I'm so sorry, Shirl, I forgot I was supposed to call you up Shirl Spicer. But for the commissioners who are new to our commission, I just want you to know Dr. Shirl LaRoche was very integral in us receiving that first $1 million grant. And I think it's important that we know our foundation is laid, and she has done so much work above and beyond, even here at this site, which Shirl Spicer will tell you briefly after I'm done. She has reeled me in and pulled me in close. From the very moment that I met her in 2005, I was just an attendee at one of these meetings. I wanted to walk in her shadow every day. I just thought she was so amazing. She had a lot of sass and pizzazz, and as Chris Haley, we now call her Peaches. Jokingly, but I just want to say thank you. And Elaine Rice-Bachman, who is the consummate state employee. Everything that I know about state regulations and policy, museum work, working with politicians, I know because of the work that I've done with Elaine Rice-Bachman. I know sometimes I go off on my soapbox, and I'm like, I'm not willing to move, because I do believe in doing things with integrity and truth and doing it in line with what the protocols are. And it's because of Elaine's guidance and watching her work down there with all of her experience. And this is our custodian for our state archives. And, I'm just so appreciative. And Chris Haley, which you all know, if I go in on what my relationship with Chris has been, I worked for Chris for 16 years. I could be here until 8 o'clock tonight. I won't even do that. When I left the archives, maybe like 4 years ago, I cried like a baby. Chris can tell you I cried hard because it was really hard for me to separate from Chris, but I did have to leave and grow. But just always these 3 people supporting me and being here in this commission, showing up when I need them, giving me sound advice when I need it, talking me off the ledge in many instances. So I just want to say thank you to them first. But I also want to transition and just talk about the leadership that embraced me, Chanel Compton, Kali Asset Amen, who really were thought leaders. My biggest goal in becoming chair of this commission was to make sure that we were not a commission that just went along with everything. It's okay to have differences, it's okay to have different perspectives, and they allowed me a space to do that. We did not always agree on everything. I will tell you, we have a lot of meetings, and we all come to the table with very strong opinions about what we want, but at the end of the day, we know it's about doing what's best for the state and the communities across the state. We always have to come back to that place, even if we have to reach out to our fellow commissioners to say, what's your perspective? What is your thought? What is your experience? I also want to thank my thought partner. When Commissioner Patterson joined our commission, because we were both in Prince George's County under the last chair, Edwin Johnson, he asked us to find a buddy to connect with. And I don't know if the rest of you did it, but we did. We did, and so for my closing meeting a year ago, I asked Robert, I said, well, can we please just share a space where we kind of host a meeting, but not in Prince George's County, because we both represent Prince George's County, and we currently don't have anyone representing Montgomery County, so we wanted to make sure that Montgomery County had a commission meeting where you all can come and engage with us. And Tada, the appointments office, has given us somebody from Montgomery County, so in the FY26, starting July 1, we will have a representative from Montgomery County. And now I really want to give a special thank you to the commissioners who have been with me for the last 8 years, who joined this commission when I did, who are ending their terms the same way that I do. And I guess I'll just start on this end and I'll work my way down. I'm going to start with Commissioner Reggie Turner, who has been a friend and confidant. When I first started, you know, you're still relatively young, and I always get so frustrated about things. I can call Reggie at any time. He would take my call. We'd have a commission meeting, and I knew Reggie was driving back to Washington County, so he was going to be on the road, and he needed a friend. So I would call him, and he would really give me great insight. But some of the work that he did, Reggie really helped to put this commission on the map with his Jonathan Street project in Washington County. It got a lot of press over the years, and he's really a change agent for Washington County, because until Reggie joined, we had never had representation from Washington County. So I just want to say thank you, Reggie. And to Commissioner Barbara Paker, who I knew even before I joined the commission. I think it was Chairman Ted Mack that introduced me to you first. And it's just been amazing to serve with you. Barbara has been a host for the commission, even before joining the commission herself. She has had us over there to the Water's Edge Museum, which is something that she founded and truly believes in, to give voice to African American communities in the Eastern Shore and Oxford community. And I'm super grateful. And what I really am grateful to Barbara for is when I was still working at the Maryland State Archives, the Port Marker Project had reached out to Chris and I asking about getting markers up in and around the state where enslaved Africans first landed. And one of those places was Oxford. And of all the places, Annapolis, Baltimore, and Oxford is probably one of the most challenging places to get a sign, which Barbara can tell you. And she actually stayed with that, stayed the course, and the sign is now there. It didn't happen immediately, but with her steadfastness, we were able to do it. And then Barbara is also a believer in making sure that children and students are educated, and she brought out a group of students from Oregon State University to one of our commission meetings on the Eastern Shore. So I'm really grateful for your time here, Barbara. And Eleanor Thompson. People know Eleanor does not play around. She is a passionate commissioner who is a lifelong genealogist and is super passionate about that, and has found it very important to work with communities across the state, working with different descendants and making sure that their stories are told. She works very closely with churches in and around Maryland. While she represents Anne Arundel County, she will show up and say, you know what, I can represent any county you give me, I will represent you. And she truly did that, and at different times that she showed up, even for me, in my place of business, where I work at Riversdale House Museum, to support our descendant work that we were doing there, to kind of just come and hand out flyers, whatever, anything you needed Eleanor to do. She was actually going to show up and show out, and she's super passionate about the grants and making sure that communities, and she would go out and talk to people across the state about the different grants that we had. And it was just so great to kind of see her connect with people and to just know that she's just ending now. I know she would not take her rest. You all, the rest of us may walk away and go to sleep. The Eleanor would be right here along the way, making sure that Ancestral Remains Committee is run right. And so I just really am thankful for your friendship, for being on the commission. And I knew Eleanor also before joining this commission. She was a regular researcher at the Maryland State Archives, and she would get Chris and I, she would say, have you seen Chris Haley? And I say, well, he's upstairs somewhere. But she definitely is there. She's doing the research. She's boots on the ground all the time. And so thank you so much, Eleanor. One of Eleanor's partner in crimes, And I saw another one of the Patterson crowd in the audience, one of our former commissioners, Shirl. You can say that. Shirl McLeod, former commissioner here with the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture. And I really want to acknowledge the three of them because in many ways, a lot of times with commissions, you get a lot of people who will show up and they'll come to the meetings, they will, vote on something, but when you talk about boots on the ground, these three ladies really set the pace for me in seeing what boots on the ground look like. They took the Harriet Tubman Awards, which was something that was led by a Baltimore tourism guru, historian, Louis Fields, and they adopted it. I started going to Lou Fields' Harriet Tubman Day celebrations when I first started working at the archives in 2005. And that was something that was near and dear to his heart. And the fact that he entrusted this commission with taking that on is because of the relationship that he had with these three women. And I'm super grateful for them to do that. As many of us know, I don't know if you all know, Janice is the official state griot for Maryland. She has done a number of reenactments and interpretations of Verda Freedom Welcome, who wrote the legislation to create and establish the commission. She has come out and been Harriet Tubman at my side at Riversdale. Let me tell you, I leverage my relationships. She has done libation ceremonies with Shirl McLeod and Eleanor. It has just been so great. And let me tell you something, if there is anyone on this commission who's going to tell it like it is, if she agrees with you or not, you are not going to overtalk her. You are not going to silence her. It is such a pleasure to be in that space with people who I would consider an auntie or a mother figure. But I just want to say thank you for always doing that because she is going to stand for what is right at all costs. She will not let it go. I mean, we can have a commission meeting. If she thinks something didn't go right today, she's going to call me either 30 minutes after or sometime this week. I'm going to hear it, and so I know that. And this is the person that holds my feet to the fire. If she felt like something wasn't right and we had to talk it out, we had have meetings. And I just so appreciate it. And I know that at this time you've been going through a lot with your husband. I hope you know that all that you have given for the commission, she never missed a single meeting. A single meeting, even in the midst of her husband being ill. And she did not, she said, I might make it. It was like really killing her to miss this meeting. And I said, you know what, Janice? I think more than any other commissioner, you can afford to miss a meeting. And we will do the rest. I said, but please come to the final meeting where you will be honored and recognized for your work and your contributions. And also working with her partner, Crown Eleanor, she serves on the Ancestral Remains Committee. It is just honorable to see people around you that are working this hard. And I should say that it was Eleanor Thompson, my first year in, she said, you know, the commission used to have a newsletter called the Pendulum. So I know we said we're reviving it now, but we attempted to revive it. I did it for like 2 years by myself. It was very hard work. It was very, very, very hard work. But I'm so glad that our new commissioners, Commissioner Morrison, Gill, Patterson, have picked up the Pendulum and have now revived it to a place where it is going to survive in perpetuity. We're super excited about that. So thank you, Commissioner Green. And I chose to close my thank you to Commissioner Frisbee because he is the last of the Mohicans with our class, who is actually coming to the end of their term. Commissioner Frisbee, we all should be in awe of serving with him. His grandfather gave what was one of the first collections to the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum when it opened in 1984. His grandfather, Herbert Frisbee, was the second Black person to go stem a vote. We are standing in the shadow of greatness, and it has just been amazing, the information and the wisdom that he's been able to impart on this commission. The legal advice that he's been able to give has been to the benefit of our great commission. I am super grateful for him, his time served here. He really, if you Google him, you really know he doesn't have to spend his time with us, but he chose to be with us. I'm just so thankful for you for allowing space, because I mean, really, if I have to be honest, he probably should be our chair right now. But I'm just honored to be in this space, sharing this space with you, and always having a moment to feel supported throughout my time here on the commission, whether I was chair or not. Thank you so much, Commissioner Frisbee. I will not prolong this any longer. I just wanted to be able to get that out and just show my gratitude to everyone that is here, but especially now in passing the baton to our newer, because they're no longer new, they've been here now for a year, our newer commissioners who have really stepped up to the plate and have really taken and helped shift the commission in a way that I didn't know. You just never know what you're going to get. But I feel good that the commission is in great hands, and I'm ready to be a supporter and step down from my role as chair, but support you in your vision for what the commission will be moving forward. And at this time, I just want to give Shirl Spicer 1 second to make a note about Shirl LaRoche, and then we will go into our special citation presentations and a brief remark by Commissioner Frisbee.
I was going to use my inside voice, but thank you so much, and congratulations to you, Chair. I know where you work, and so we'll talk. But I didn't want to miss an opportunity to acknowledge someone who belongs to all of us, Dr. Shirl LaRoche, and I just want you to stand up for 2 seconds. I want you to stand up, because on this prestigious commission and was vice chair from Montgomery County, represent, absolutely. But also, Dr. LaRoche has been a foundation of how we began our museums here with Montgomery County. One of our newer fully operational museum, the Woodlawn Museum in Sandy Spring, which is at Woodlawn Manor Cultural Park, the research that was done on that project was spearheaded by Dr. Shirl LaRoche. We were like, who do we contact to make sure that we do this right and we do it properly? We're going to call Dr. LaRoche. And so when the opportunity came for us to acquire this property in 2006, who did we contact? Historian, archaeologist, writer, author, just everything. We contacted Dr. Shirl LaRoche to help with this project when this site, the Josiah Henson Museum site, was acquired in 2006, and we moved from it being just a historic site, and the historic house that you see right there was it. Where we are sitting comfortably now was a private residence that became the Porta-John location. So we have really moved up in the past near 20 years that we've been working on this particular site, and I do want to acknowledge very much the hard work that you dedicated to this project. When you come back, you'll have an opportunity to see an orientation film that just highlights a smidgen of the insight that she brought to the project just with the orientation film as you walk through the exhibition, and you will see the detailed work that talks about the Reverend Josiah Henson, his life in Charles County, and moving through all of the varying aspects of enslavement in Maryland. Her fingerprints are all through that exhibition. And so I did not want to miss an opportunity to say thank you on behalf of Parks. And that, you know, when we are ready for more work, that we will call you. But yes, by all means, look, like, I'm passing on.
I just wanted to say something to the commission, because I was a commissioner for many years and a vice chair for 7 years maybe. I'm so honored to see how you all have grown and morphed in the work that you're doing. I didn't even know about the Pendulum. I'm listening and thinking, I was the vice chair, I never heard of it. And so I want to congratulate each of you for taking this work and moving it forward. I'm particularly gratified to hear that that $1 million grant that we fought for, and we fought for the way the funds were matched as well. We said we have got to do something about that matching funds, because that's going to be a deterrent. To take it to $5 million, I just want to say that this is, it's not often that you can see your work progress. and hear this building, you all seeing what's come of it, you know, the fact that I'm still alive to see it, I'm so grateful. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. LaRoche, and I was about to pass the mic over, but I would be remiss if I did not thank the team of the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum. They have been at Chanel's side throughout this whole process, and have treated me like family. They opened their arms, they've come to programs with me, they have written scripted things for me. I'm like just so eternally grateful to the team and all their hard work, and we just don't do it alone. We are the custodians. It's probably our greatest tangible object outside of the grant that we are responsible for. So I would be remiss if I didn't share that with this public. And so I just want to acknowledge the team of the BDTM. If you can stand too, just so people can see you. And Shirl always says they are a small but mighty team. And I guarantee you they are more mightier than they are small. So at this time, we have special citation presentations for all of our commissioners that are leaving. Did you have the citation?
So much Chair Davis. Dr. Johnson, did you want to come up and share first?
Chair Davis.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to turn it back to Our Chair Davis.
Yes. Shall I come on? Yeah. I think I feel a little tight back here. Thank you. And I'll read these. The first one is for Commissioner Janice Green. The State of Maryland, Governor of the State of Maryland, to Commissioner Janice Curtis Green, greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of your unwavering dedication and service to the Commission on African American History, the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum, the Ancestral Remains Committee, and for being the state of Maryland's Rio and Shiro, Harriet Tubman, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation, signed Governor Wes Moore, Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller, and Secretary of State Susan Seeley. In true Janice Curtis Green fashion, she said, you forgot to tell them I organized the symposium. I told you. The State of Maryland, Governor of the State of Maryland, to Barbara Picker. Greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of your unwavering dedication, vision, and leadership as chair to the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, as well as supporting the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation, signed Governor Wes Moore, Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller, and Secretary of State Susan Seeley. Come on up, Commissioner Thompson. The State of Maryland, Governor of the State of Maryland, to Commissioner Elmer Thompson, greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of your unwavering service and dedication to the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum, as well as the Ancestral Remains Committee, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation, signed Governor Westmore, Lieutenant Governor Reverend Miller, and Secretary of State Susan Seeley. Commissioner Pritzker. The State of Maryland, Governor of the State of Maryland, to Commissioner H. Russell Frisbee Jr. Greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of your unwavering dedication, leadership, and expertise to the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum, as well as the African American Heritage Preservation Grant, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation, signed Governor Westmore, Lieutenant Governor Reverend Miller, and Secretary of State Susan Seeley.
Thank you. Sorry.
Lower it, lower it.
Commissioner Turner, when you're ready, come on in. The State of Maryland, Governor of the State of Maryland, and Commissioner Reggie Turner. Greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of your unwavering dedication and leadership to the Maryland Commission on African American History, the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum, as well as the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture's Finance Committee, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation, signed Governor Westmore, Lieutenant Governor Reverend Miller, and Secretary of State Susan Seeley.
Don't you go anywhere, Maya. Maya. Chair Davis, you have been with the commission for 8 years. So we've served together. Me as executive director and you as the commissioner and chair. And your leadership style is incredible because you make everyone feel heard. But you tell them like it is. You are a brilliant woman in your field. You lead with kindness and understanding and humor, which is great. And you've just been such a great mentor for myself. This is a hard job. I don't know how to do it. Seriously, being the chair of a commission that operates a state's museum, so it's also governing a museum, as well as a grant program, as well as providing services throughout the state of Maryland, as well as providing service and support to the committees on this commission. It is tremendous work. This is a very hardworking woman and leader and thought leader and revolutionary and creative in our midst. And it has been just such a joy to work with you. Before I read the citation, I am going to pass the mic because my spirit is telling me to Vice Chair Kelly.
She said it all. I just want you to know that this past year working so closely with you, it really has been a marvel for me. You gave homage to all of your mentors. You have served as a crucial mentor for me. This year has been a year of growth for me, for all of us. Thanks to you. I'm just so glad for the opportunity.
On behalf of Governor of the State of Maryland to Ms. Maya Davis, greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of your unwavering dedication, vision, and leadership, as chair to the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, as well as supporting the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation. Signed, Governor Westmore, Lieutenant Governor Rona Miller, and Secretary of State Susan C. Lee.
You can be seated. You can be seated.
We also have a gift on behalf of the commission. Maya never used this during public meetings because she didn't need to. All right? This gavel. Ain't she the bomb, y'all?
Next on the agenda, voting. Now, I know Commissioner Morrison, I had asked you in case I couldn't get here, but there was no way that I was not going to take over my open meetings chair, my last official open meetings chair assignment. And just to explain to people who have been to other commission meetings where we had voting. This year the voting will be slightly different. It will be by anonymous ballots as opposed to people raising their hands in the air. And this is to continue the cohesion of this commission. I have never met a group of people who work so hard and so well together. I've been on this commission for 8 years. Like Maya said, I've missed one meeting in 8 years. And I've been been around for, 3 chairs. Maya, I want to just add this, is such a good person. It has nothing to do with organizational skills which she has. It has nothing to do with knowledge that she has. It has nothing to do with the beauty that she possesses. It's her heart that made her a good chair. And that I could call her up and I could cry. And they mentioned, and see, I know this isn't a religious ceremony or anything like that, but, and I don't know what your faith tradition is, but I serve a God that says if I don't praise him, the rocks will cry out. So I just want you to know, when she said something with my husband, it wasn't just something. It was stage 3 lung cancer that had spread to his lymph nodes. And before he could start his treatment, the week before he was supposed to start his treatment, he had I don't know why they call him mild, but he had a mild heart attack. So 3 days after he got out of the hospital for that, he started 34 radiation sessions, 5 days a week. We live in Windsor Mill, and the treatments were at Johns Hopkins Bayview. That meant over the river and through the woods and under the tunnel every single day. And I watched him get weaker and weaker, along with the 6 chemotherapy sessions that he took every Wednesday after his radiation sessions. And I watched him lose weight, and I watched him get sick, and I traveled every morning with a bucket in the car in case he threw up, a urinal in the car, and an overnight bag in case I was too tired to drive home and I just went to the closest Hampton Inn and fell out in my clothes. So this morning, I'm glad to say he's finished his treatments.
All right.
this morning he went to his first session of immunotherapy so that if the immune system senses any cancer coming back, he can attack it. But sadly, it attacks other things too, so just keep him in prayer. And this morning he weighed in. He's gained 10 pounds. I used to watch him and I didn't want to say anything, but you know how you see those commercials for the starving children in third world countries? That's what his body started to look like. But he gained 10 pounds. And he felt so good today after I told him I had made it here. He drove himself to get a manicure and pedicure. So I'm praising God because it was all God. Yes. As I was on that road falling asleep behind the wheel, God brought me home. When he couldn't eat and I wasn't eating, neighbors would ring the doorbell and bring me a plate of food. It was all God. And the prayers of the commission and my church and my dog club and every single organization that I belonged to was praying hard. And God brought him through that, and he brought me through that too. So I just wanted you to know she was going through something with her husband. That's what the something was. It was not a small thing, but I love this commission. I have 2 new adopted sons, an adopted daughter, and an adopted granddaughter, because Ada refuses to think she's old enough to be my daughter. So now we will begin with the elections for the chair and the vice chair. So now you understand why we will be using anonymous ballots, and I'll explain as we go along. We are now holding the election for the vice chair of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture for the fiscal year July the 1st, 2025 through June the 30th, 2026. Mr. Herbert, do we have a quorum?
Yes, ma'am, we do have a quorum. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Herbert, how many commissioners are present at this meeting?
We have 15 commissioners.
15.
Yes, ma'am.
I say that because commissioners, when you vote, there must be 15 votes. If you abstain, put on the piece of paper, and you have papers. I think, Mr. Herbert, did you pass them to those folks down the other end?
No, ma'am.
And you'll just pass them down.
Yes, ma'am.
Your votes will be either yes, no, or abstain. When I take the votes out of the box, there must be 15 for the election to be proper. Right? We open the floor now for any nominations for the office of Vice Chair of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture. Yes, Commissioner Morrison.
I nominate Jayla Moon.
Jayla Monet, do you accept or decline the nomination for the office of Vice Chair?
Accept.
He has accepted this nomination. Are there any more nominations for the office of Vice Chair? Hearing none, I really do have to take this vote, even though I know what the vote's going to be, but to make everything above board, to make sure we have 15, and some people might not want him to be the vice chair, you know. So, I will pass this box down. You will write the name, you will write yes, no, or abstain, and this is what the box looks like. The ballot box, all the way from Amazon. Put the name on your ballot, fold it in half, put it in the box, and pass it down the table. Yes, no, or abstain. Please, the nominations will close, so please don't write in any votes. You know, there's always one in every group.
Thank you. Oh, wait a minute, I didn't write mine down yet.
Yes. Yes, no, or abstain.
Oh.
We have 2 online.
Oh, we have 2 online.
Yes, ma'am. So can they write in the chat?
They can write in the chat what they're going to do.
They've been given instructions to email.
Can they hear everything? Okay, thank you. And when I proceed to count the ballots, I'll just quote to you, and you can write them on a piece of paper and give them to me, so the ballots will be counted. So, Mr. Herbert, does that number 15 include the 2 that are online? So that's 17.
Yes, ma'am.
You can take it, Mr. Herbert. Thank you. We will proceed with the election of the chair of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture for the fiscal year January 1st, 2025 through June the 30th, 2026. I've already answered we have a quorum. Are there any nominations for the office of chair of this commission? The floor is open.
I would like to nominate Vice Chair Kaliasat.
Vice Chair Ahmed, do you accept the nomination for chair of this commission?
I accept.
Vice Chair Ahmed has accepted the nomination. Are there any other nominations for the office of chair of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture? Hearing none, are there any in the chat? Just want to make sure that I've covered all the bases. And while she's doing this, I just want you to know that even though this is a different method of holding these elections, both Director Compton and myself have been in touch with the Open Meetings Act officials, and I have looked through the manual, and there is nothing to prevent us from holding this type of election. None?
Done.
There are no further nominations for the office of chair for this commission. The floor is now closed to take nominations, and we will hold the election. Please, in the same way you voted for vice chair, yes, no, or abstain, and the only nominee is Vice Chair Khalid Aset Amin. Let's stand your name. I put them together in a group on the way over. You know, when miss my comic relief when you know that.
Yes, we are.
And I just had a pleasure of working with one of our new commissioners, is the Dr. Althea. I've had the pleasure of working with her at the Memorial Day ceremony, and you know, she's going to be wonderful. She's going to be absolutely wonderful. Now, while the election is finished, so the ballot boxes will be passed to Mr. Herbert, which they have done, and I will go in the back and work with him, counting them. And you can finish your meeting and introduce all these wonderful people like Shirl Spice and Walden. The last time I was out here performing, I was in the other building. I performed as Harriet Tubman for a bunch of school kids over there. And I'll be back out for the Harvest Festival. Oh, I love Montgomery.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Marie. And while they're counting the votes, at this time, I wanted to give Commissioner H. Russell Frisbee a moment to make remarks.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I first joined the commission in 2014, so I guess I'm a little service here. But I look back on my 10 years, I was dating myself. I remember in the 60s, there was an advertisement which says, this you're going all the way there. And that's what I think about the museum staff, wonderful staff, as well as the commission. Madam Chair mentioned my grandfather. But he was he was actually one of the founders of the museum. And toward the end, what he was most proud of were two things. First of all, he led a successful campaign to reinsert Matthew Henson into the history books, and then share it. And the second thing he was most proud of is his involvement in founding the museum. Toward the end, one thing he kept telling Russell, make sure they get my collection. Make sure they get my collection. This is a special place, and the museum is a very special place because my grandfather believed in preservation and sharing, but he only did it for Matthew Henson. This commission is doing it for the entire state. It's grown in its ability to do that for the museum and the staff. The commission is also special because I grew up in Baltimore, and growing up, I knew there was the foreign territory, Eastern Shore, Southern Maryland, Western Maryland. But I thought that's, any black who did anything had to live in the Baltimore area. But then I joined the commission, and I found there was so much history in the rest of the state that but for the commission would be ignored and not preserved. And the commission has done that again. And I think it's really important, given the craziness at the White House, also two of my law school classmates in Thorne Road, but that's another issue. It's very important what you do. You're the borough work. And I want to congratulate, it's been a pleasure to work with all of you, and I want to wish the new commissioners the best of luck. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Commissioner Walter Gill, and I'd like to say that his grandfather, Mr. Frisbee, was my high school teacher when I was in 10th grade at Texas High School in Baltimore, Maryland. I've been to Mr. Frisbee's house. He's entertained us with his stories and about his trips to the Arctic. We've seen a lot of artifacts in his house. He told us about his playing jazz piano to help him get through college. He was a very entertaining person at home, but he was a very strict disciplinarian and formal teacher in school. And he and I also belong to the same fraternity. They were Omega Psi Phi fraternity, so he's memorable, Mr. Frisbee.
Thank you so much for sharing those remarks, Commissioner Frisbee and Commissioner Gill. It's truly a pleasure to know that there's someone who has a direct connection to Mr. Frisbee still on the commission. That's really great. And I should share with everyone, when I was going to grad school as an intern, I processed the collection. So I'm really excited that this is some work that will continue on. At this time, while the votes are still being counted, I would like to do the acknowledgement of public attendees. If you all could just say your name and your organization really quickly, that would be greatly appreciated. And Commissioner,
could they face the camera this way when they do?
Okay, yes, please face the camera. Mr. Smoot is filming back there.
Ready? 1 second, please.
This is a historical moment.
Showtime.
My name is Sean Green. I'm with the Core DMV, started photographer.
Linda Pius, Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum.
Good afternoon, Garvencia Warren, founder of Core DMV, and as well as the Pink House Group nonprofit organization.
Hi everyone, I'm the new curatorial intern at the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum.
This is your audience.
Martina Dye, Curator of Collections and Exhibitions at the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum.
Hello, Lisa Hazel, founder and professional genealogist, multidisciplinary artist, and resident artist at the Sandy Spring Museum.
Where is it now? Oh, Chris Haley, Maryland State Archives, and devotee and bread of peaches.
No one wants to go after Chris. Nancy Easterling, Historic Soldering down in St. Mary's County.
My name is Eva Turner Dunbar, and I'm here with my cousin Chanel from the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum.
Okay.
Elaine Rice Bachman, I'm the Maryland State Archivist, but today my most treasured role is mentor to Maya Davis.
No, right here. Yeah, come on down there.
Leslie Rose, I am the exhibit manager at the Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum.
Shirl McLeod, former commissioner. I love you guys. In addition to that, the Caucus of African American Leaders and the Harriet Tubman Foundation of the Harriet Tubman Cultural Center in Howard County. Well, that's why you're here, because you're visiting.
Okay. Oh.
You don't have to.
I'm Will Schwartz. I'm the founder and past president of the Maryland Lynching Memorial Project.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Althea Gray McKenzie, and I am a representative of the Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce. Plus, I'm here to thank your commission because I spoke with some of the leaders a few years ago. We were interested in finding out what happened with the Caribbean American Commission, and they were so helpful, so I just want to say thank you. Also, I was a 5-year board member for the Sandy Spring Slave Museum in African American County. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bridget Miller. I'm the Community Programs Coordinator at the Sandy Spring Museum.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Leslie Goddard. I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland Association of Historic District Commissions. Very happy to be here today, and I'd like to congratulate all of the retiring commissioners, especially Maya Davis, who's collaborated with us on past symposiums. Thank you.
I'm Shirl Roche. I'm the former vice chair of the commission for many years. I represent the University of Maryland College Park and Cultural Insight Research Group.
Good afternoon. My name is James R. Morgan III. I teach and I'm a doctoral candidate at Morgan State University. I also serve on the Executive Council for the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, aka ASALA. And also to Alvin Commissioner Davis, my sister, my friend, congratulations to you. And to Commissioner Gill, there's at least one alpha man in the house, so everything in here is official.
Oh, Abiola Akintola, Educational Coordinator at Banneker-Douglass-Tubman Museum.
Hello, I'm June Frisbee, the proud wife. And I've been fortunate to attend quite a few of the commission meetings. It's been a pleasure. I have always been so inspired by your professionalism and the way you do things so effectively and efficiently. So thank you for letting me come and visit.
Well, thank you so much to all of you for introducing yourselves, and we will have plenty of time to see the museum and network afterwards, but at this time, I believe it is now time to confer over our votes.
Well, Mr. Frisbee and I have collaborated, and we counted the votes. For Vice Chair, Commissioner Jalen Money, 16 votes yes, and 1 abstention. Commissioner Williams. For chair, Vice Chair Kali Aset Amen received 17 votes yes. And with that, that ends the election for the new chair and vice chair of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture. And it has been a pleasure for the last 4 or 5 years of my tenure on this board to be the open chair meetings coordinator. And I gladly pass it to someone.
Well, as I wrap up new business, I just want to say I can't think of 2 people that are more deserving to pass the baton to serve as chair and vice chair of this commission. Yes. I am truly excited. We are all rallying behind you. Please know that the commissioners who are walking away, we are walking away from our titles, but we are here to support you as we move forward. So thank you. We now wrap up new business, and now it is time to adjourn. But do I have a motion? So moved. Second. It is properly moved by Commissioner Janice Curtis Green and seconded by Commissioner Robert Patterson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. I don't think we have any. Thank you.
Can we all put a picture together?
Yes.